Okay, so this is gonna be like a complete optimization guide. Pretty much what I would do to a computer that I've just gotten. Couple things. You have to watch this video in order. I'm gonna have timestamps like where you can skip around, but if you're following this guide like completely, you have to do it in order because I'm making this video in a certain order so that things work out smoothly. The other thing is, um, there's a couple things I'll say like you don't have to do this, and I'll give a reason like why you wouldn't want to do it. But everything in this video has a purpose. It's not just like showing something that like doesn't really do anything. Everything in this video, it will help you in some way get either more FPS or, you know, lower input lag, all that stuff. But I'll explain it thoroughly. So just listen. Um, Last thing is, none of this is gonna break your computer. Um, I'll have, my Discord in the description if you have problems, but please watch the video and try to figure it out if you get stuck somewhere, because the video will explain absolutely everything. It's only like, your last resort is to ask me, because, I'll probably be able to fix it. Other thing is, yeah, this is pretty much what those Twitter people do. And then the people tweet out like, oh, my game feels 10 times better. This is pretty much what they do. This is everything that they do. Um, so if you would rather do it yourself, you don't want to pay, this is the video for you. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first part of this video is just going to be um, downloading Windows and like what version of Windows to be on. So for this, depending on which way you go, um, you're gonna need a USB like flash drive. So like 8 gigabytes or more for flash drive, and you're going to need maybe like a laptop or something as well. Uh, if you download my custom Windows, which is what I'm on right now, which is there's lots of mods that removed things that you don't need and stuff like that. So I'll go over how to get my version first. If um, if it doesn't sound like you want to, you know, use my version of Windows, you can download the regular 1709, which 1709 is the Windows version. It has the best FPS, the best 1% lows, meaning your FPS doesn't drop as drastically. It has the best latency. There's no Windows timer. All of this stuff. It's the best Windows out right now. All the new ones, um, they're just not comparable. 1709 is much better. Okay, so let's go over like my Windows version. So you can download it. I'll have a Google Drive link. It's just Zoic 1709. So this is 1709 Pro, but it's been stripped. So there's no Cortana. There's a lot of things removed. There's no Xbox Game Bar. Um, there's no Windows Update. So if you go to Update, you can't update Windows, which you wouldn't want to be anyway. There's no Windows Defender. There's no Bluetooth. There's no Wi-Fi. So if you use Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, you won't be able to use this. You have to be using Ethernet on this version. I don't think you can print. Oh yeah, okay. Maybe you. I think you might be able to print. Um, so also when you get in here, you're gonna have way less background processes and Windows processes. So if you're looking at it right now, you probably have like 90-ish. And that just depends on how many things you have open. Um, yeah, so another thing is like the start menu. I'm using an OpenShell, which is a much lighter weight start menu. Um, but this was done through like after I've downloaded the Windows. Um, yeah, so pretty much if all you care about is if all you do on your computer is you just game and you don't need to use your computer for printing. So like let's say you have a laptop that you can print from, like for school. Um, yeah, pretty much you want the absolute best. I would 100% recommend this modded version. It's just it's so much more lightweight. Everything feels much more snappy. Um, but if not, it's not a big deal. You can download just a regular 1709 Pro, which is this one. You can download this one, and this will have, it's just a regular Windows, it's just an older version. This one though, you'll have to go like, once you download it, you'll have to go through an extra step to block the downloads, so that way it doesn't update it to like 2000, or no, I think it updates to 1909. But anyways, so let's get into it. So you're either going to download this one, or you're going to download this one. So you make your choice um, of which one you're going to download. And obviously, you don't have to download Windows again. Like you don't have to reset your Windows. But honestly, if your FPS is really bad, you want the most, I would 100% recommend just starting over. Follow this video. If you have any like clips, anything like that, you can either move them to a different computer, external hard drive, flash drive. You can back them up even in Google Drive. You can, if you have enough space in there. So yeah, so we're gonna choose one of these and download that. So now you've downloaded one of those ISOs. So it should look like this. I'll drag a folder over. You should, okay, it's gonna, I should just, hold on. I'll just show you over here. So should have made like a new folder somewhere and put it in here. So here's my stripped one. That's what it should look like. So now you're going to download Rufus, which is what we're going to put it on the USB with. Don't just drag it to the USB. That's not the right way to do it. So device here, I don't have a USB flash drive plugged in, but you're going to plug in your flash drive and you'll choose it here. And then for here, you're going to select the disk or ISO image, select, you're going to find the folder, so this one, so you do open, and so now this is what it should look like. Here, I'll plug in the USB. Okay, now I've plugged in the USB. It's 32 gigabytes, which is like more than enough, but so this is my USB that has the stripped on it, so the name is going to be different, but you're just going to select it. So you want to choose GPT for the partition scheme. This is just the better one. MBR is a little bit buggy. GPT is better. Make sure this is on. Well, actually, there's no other choice for that. So, yeah, standard Windows installation, and you're gonna want this to be on NTFS, not FAT32. Sometimes it defaults to that, but I've already set it to NTFS. And then just leave this on the default, and you're gonna do start. This will get stuck at like, I think it's like 98 or 96%. Just keep waiting. It the bar stops moving, but it's still doing things. So yeah, don't touch it. Just be patient. The other thing is, if you're using a USB that has things on it, I would recommend formatting it first, just to wipe everything. So if I come here to like the USB and I did format right here, I would do I would select NTFS and start it. I'm not going to do that, but yeah, so I would format it first. Even though this technically formats it, it's just better to clear everything off of it. So yeah, you can't have anything on the USB. This will wipe it. So yeah, you're gonna do start, and then once that's done, all you're gonna do is you're gonna leave the USB plugged into your computer, and oh, actually, one thing that I forgot to mention is if you're using the non-stripped version, so if you downloaded this one right here, just the regular 1709, unplug your Ethernet cable or your Wi-Fi from your computer, because or else it will start updating. Once you get into Windows, it'll start updating, and you don't want to update to the newest version. So once that's done, you're just going to restart your computer, and if the motherboard is smart, it will automatically boot to the USB drive, but it doesn't always do that. So I'll show how to like switch it to the to boot from the flash drive. Okay, so I have like a few Google images on here. All motherboards are going to be slightly different. Hopefully you don't have an HP pre-built. Um, I don't understand why people buy those, but so if you have like a gaming motherboard, this is ideal. So here's like an MSI like BIOS. So you're just going to see, so here's boot priority. You want to find something in the BIOS that says like something to do with boot, and you want to choose your flash drive. So let me see if I can find a better picture. Some of these are kind of unrelated. Okay, so here we go. So uh, this is under boot configuration. So probably go settings and then boot configuration. And then once you're in here, boot option number 1 is what you're going to want to change it to. This will say like, hard disk or whatever you're booting from before. You just want to select this and choose your USB flash drive. So, whatever it may be called, Rufus might change the name of it to like 1709 stripped or whatever, but that's what you're going to look for. You're just going to find the USB and select it to number 1, and then when you restart, you should boot into the Windows setup. If you don't know how to get into BIOS, I mean, you can look it up on Google, but easiest way is just when your PC is booting up, just spam the delete key on your keyboard. So here's another picture on there. So if you're on HP, it's going to be a little bit harder. I think some of these are like the older HPs, so yeah, you're just going to go to boot, and then okay, so it's like here you'd probably set this first one to the USB. Hopefully you don't have this BIOS. This is like very bare bones, but yeah. Okay, so here we go. So this looks like a HP. This is what they usually look like. So it's just going to be the boot option number 1. You're going to select the USB there. So yeah. Okay, so a couple of things to expect like while you're setting up the Windows and like the setup page. Both of these you'll only be able to select Pro, which is what you want. That's good. The other thing is if you use the non-stripped version, you definitely should have your Wi-Fi unplugged. It'll say we need to connect to the internet. There should be something down at the bottom on the left or right, I forget. It'll say like I don't have internet right now. You just want to select that and move on, because you don't want it to automatically update. Other thing, if you're on the stripped version, it's gonna go really fast. There's really only like if you set up Windows before, it's a little different. you only have to go through like 2 or 3 things, and you're in Windows and you're done. So yeah, once you've gotten into Windows, I'll go over like the stripped version first. Um, you you won't have a default browser to download Google, because obviously you need Google to start downloading things again. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna get another computer, and you can use the USB that you just used to download Windows. Just don't, restart with the Windows like USB in, obviously, or else you're gonna, have to try to set up Windows again. You don't want to do that. So you're gonna go to like a laptop or something, plug that USB in, and you're just gonna go like Google Chrome, like, and you should have like a download and install. It's like here. So I'll just put a link to like, where to download it. So like here it is. So once you download it, you're just gonna drag the setup.exe into the flash drive. Obviously you don't run it on your laptop because you need it for the computer. So yeah, you just put it on the flash drive, take the flash drive to your computer and run the exe now that it's on your computer, and you'll have Google on there, and then you can start downloading things. And also you won't be able to search in here at first, and I'll show you how to be able to search on that as well. So if you're on the non-stripped, here's what you need to do. On the non-stripped, you need to go to gpedit.msc. It will have a picture, but mine doesn't have a picture. You're gonna go to here. This is to block updates, and let me pull up the like text file that I have for the instructions. So here's the instructions, so it's easier to follow along. So yeah, you're gonna go to gpedit.msc, and then you're gonna go to this path. So we'll go there real fast. So computer configuration should be down here. Windows updates. Here it is. So you're just gonna click on this folder. So you wanna configure these. So configure automatic updates. This should be disabled. For this one, you wanna you double click on it to open this. You wanna enable this, and then just copy and paste this link into all of these. I don't know if this is actually a real website, but yeah. And then you wanna enable these two, and then you also want to enable this one. So once you've done that, you can close out of this. So once you're done with that, you're just going to come down here and type cmd. You're going to type in gp update, like all one word like that, space force, or /force. And this will update the group policy, and it will disable updates. So now when you go down to here, I'll just go this way, and you go to update, it should just be blank. You shouldn't have an update. If you're on the stripped version, you can do this. Obviously, I've done it. I'm on the stripped version. I don't think it would update anyway, but you might as well just block any chance of Windows trying to update. Okay, so if you find that you're not able to connect to the internet, that's fine. I have had some people that have not been able to connect because I think it's an older Windows version, and also it didn't download the default like Windows network driver. So that's fine. If you're on the stripped, or actually, well, if you're on either one, I mean, you don't have internet. So what you want to do is you want to go back to like that laptop that you used to download like the Google exe for the stripped, you're gonna go to that laptop. You can use the same flash drive, whatnot, and you want to go to like you want to get like the Realtek network driver, or if you're on like the killer Ethernet, you can get that, um, or even like the Intel network driver. You just need to figure out which network driver you're on. So like you can just on the PC you can just go to device manager. Yeah, just go to device manager and network adapters. It should say you probably know from past if you have Realtek. Pretty much everyone's gonna be Realtek. So you just want to go to Realtek. Should be this link. And then you just want to download the Windows 10 auto installation program. Okay, so once you've downloaded it from the Realtek website, the Windows 10 one is what it should look like. So we're just gonna open this, and we're gonna go into this Windows 10 folder 64. We're just gonna drag it here, just so it's a little bit easier. And you're gonna go to Device Manager. So if you can't search right here right now, that's fine. Just right click on it, and you'll see Device Manager. Mine says OpenShell because I have this installed, but you can get to it through there. And you also might be able to do like Windows key and R and like run, and then whatever the device manager, like I don't know what it is, the device manager shortcut. But yeah, you can figure out a way to get here. So you can either go here and do properties, driver, update driver, browse, and then you can browse again here. You're gonna select the 64 folder like this, and then do next, and it'll download, and then maybe restart, and you should have internet. Or you can do it like this way, device by connection, and you'll see all these PCI bridges. Just try to find, so like mine was already selected from there, so you can go through here, update driver. So yeah, that's how you do that. And this is also like how you could figure out if you have Realtek or not. So yeah, once you've gotten your internet done, you can download, I'll have a link, you can download like my folder, so that's going to be everything that you need to optimize Windows and all that. Okay, so if you're on the stripped, you're going to need this. So you're going to open up OpenShell, and you're going to run the exe, run the setup, all that, and then so you still won't have it, you'll like go here, so just right click on here and go to settings, and so we're gonna set it up now. So down here you can just use my XML, so load from XML file, and then hopefully you extracted the folder. So like I have one in here, here it is, menu settings. So you just open that, and then to get it to start up on Windows, it is right here under general behavior, start automatically. That's what you want. And you can also look at these other settings. Maybe you don't like my XML. You can have this look much different, but yeah. Okay, so now that you're like getting on Windows, you're gonna have to like activate Windows. So instead of buying like a key or something, I have a TXT that has instructions on how to activate it without having to buy anything. So just type in CMD, and I don't have to do this. Run as administrator, but for me, I'll show you how to do this. Everything runs as admin, so I don't have to do that. but pretty much you just want to enter these one at a time. So you'd enter this in, press enter, and it'll say something, and then you copy this, paste this in, it'll say something, and then paste this in and enter. So it's just, paste, paste, paste. And at the end, it should say Windows activated successfully or something along those lines. Just press yes, okay, whatever it says. So you should have Windows activated there. Okay, so real quick, I just want to explain like one thing um, that will just make everything easier and something you should just do. So two of these things that I'm going to be showing, one is going into safe mode, and two is disabling services that you don't need. You're going to want to be on a local account, because going into safe mode, if you don't know your Microsoft account, you won't be able to get into safe mode. You'll be locked out. It's happened to someone I've worked with. And if you're not on a local account with services, you're going to brick your install. So if you come into accounts on your settings, it'll say if you're on the stripped, I think it puts you on a local account like by default. You can't even sign into Microsoft. But for if any chance you did sign into a Microsoft account, it'll say down here, it'll say sign in with a local account instead. You want to click that, and you just set up like your local account, so whatever your name is, and your password. So just remember that for the rest of the video. Okay, so now I'm just going to go over like the Windows settings before we actually get into tweaking and everything. So you just want to go to settings. If you're on the stripped, it's going to be way easier to follow along because half the stuff is already removed. If you're on the non-stripped, you're going to have some extra things to do that I don't have, but I'll still like show you how to do them. So let's start with privacy. Stripped, I'm pretty sure all these are already turned off, so you don't have to worry about it. If some of them are on though, just turn them off. You don't need any of these things. All this stuff you don't need. You can turn all of it off except for the microphone. You do need that. You also, if you have a camera, like obviously you can turn that on, but everything else you don't need anything in here. Account, this is probably a good time to mention you should definitely get on a local account. You're gonna need this, or else one of these things will it'll just make things a little bit more difficult. So you need to get on a local account. If you don't know how to do that, just either search on Google, or I'm pretty sure it should say switch to a local account. If you're on stripped, I'm pretty sure you're on administrator no matter what, like, which is pretty cool. So yeah, get on a local account. You don't need a Microsoft account to use Windows. Let's go apps. So in here you can set your default apps, obviously. So choose what you want. VLC. So if you're on stripped, I would definitely recommend getting VLC because I think it uses like actually no, there is not even a video player, so you're gonna need VLC for the stripped version. VLC is better anyway, so it doesn't really matter there. Ease of access. These things are pretty. If you're on the non-stripped, you can turn this off. There should be. I'm not sure if it's under this one. It's like transparency effects. I think it might be under personalization. It's most likely either off or so. Yeah, you can customize the taskbar and make it look like mine. I'm not sure where it is. If you're on the stripped, themes crashes this, so just a little glitch. Let's see where we're. So yeah, you can customize your stuff here. Oh, here it is. So under colors, transparency effects, make sure you turn that off. Uses a little bit of RAM, a little bit of GPU, so You don't want that. System, not a whole lot to do here. You know, make sure on 100%. All this. Nightlight, I don't think on the stripped it works. Nightlights, you don't really need that. You can set this in never, but we'll be setting a custom power plan. So if you're on the non-stripped, you'll have like a Xbox thing. So turn all the Xbox shit off. You don't need any of that. It's just using more shit in the background. You really just it's useless. Let's see. I think that's pretty much everything here. Let's go into like File Explorer. So here, all your drives, um, you want to go to Properties and just uncheck these two, especially um, especially the index one, this bottom one. You really don't want indexing. It slows your drives down, especially if you have a bad hard drive. SSD doesn't matter too much, but it'll help a little bit, so you might as well. um, so yeah, do this for all the drives. So another thing to do is go to this PC, or I meant to right click on it, go to Properties, and here's the path for it: Control Panel, System Security, System. And on here, you want to go to Advanced System Settings and then set this. So this is kind of like placebo, kind of doesn't do anything, but it does make Windows look a little bit cleaner in my opinion. So on the stripped, it's a little bit glitchy. This isn't actually on Adjust Best for best performance. But so pretty much you want to it'll be on this one. Select Adjust for Best Performance. It'll uncheck all of these, and then click on Custom. And what you want to do on Custom is smooth edges of screen fonts and show thumbnails instead of icons. These two. If you're fine with these being off, then go for it. But I mean, it really doesn't do anything in terms of FPS. So it's just something to make Windows look a bit cleaner. Okay, so now I'm gonna get into like actually tweaking and doing things with Windows. So find the registry tweaks folder, and there's really no order to run these in, but usually I go this one first, and I'll say that. If you're curious, you can just go into here. This is everything that it does. Pretty much all the most important ones you need. And then you can run this one as well. Just say run. Yes. Okay. There's that one. Disable Spectrum Meltdown. That's a good one. You can check that later. I'll show how to. And then disable Windows Defender. I'll go over this like a little bit later, but pretty much it's just get rid of Windows Defender. So after you ran those, probably should restart. And when you come back in, if you go to run, it should say it'll be created with administrative privileges. So this means no matter what you run, it's always going to be ran as an administrator. So you see up here it says administrator. So you don't have to right click and let's say this one, you don't have to right click and run as administrator and stuff. Everything just is automatically ran with those privileges. So I usually start with the GPU just because it's just easier to start with. So what you want to do now is in case Windows downloaded like their default, like it'll download like a weird driver. Like if you come in here, you can check like it'll be like a weird version from a long time ago, and that's not what you want. So right now the 456.38 is pretty much it's fine. It has all the new like latency tweaks for the games and stuff. So what you'll do is you'll come into here and type in msconfig, and you'll go into boot, and you'll check safe boot and apply and OK. And then once you get into safe boot, let me make sure that, yeah, okay. Once you get into safe boot, you're gonna open back up this GPU folder, and you're gonna open up this DDU folder here, and then you're gonna run this. So these won't come up, but I'll just show you what it looks like. So you get in here, you'll choose GPU, and it'll autofill NVIDIA. You want to do clean and restart, so that will clean your driver, and that'll get rid of the Windows default graphics driver. So when you come back in, you're still going to be in safe boot. So you just want to do the same thing the way that you got into it. You just want to uncheck it, apply and OK, and you'll be back in. And you might be on like a weird res. So all you need to do is I'll have another link to this driver. It's actually extracted here. There's the setup, but it's this 456.38. This is a stripped driver, which means it has way less stuff in it. So if you come into here, if you've like looked at your task manager before, you'll have a bunch of NVIDIA containers, which is like, it's just hogging memory and stuff in the background. You don't need all of that. This is just the bare driver. It's all you need. So it doesn't have GeForce Experience or anything like that. And so if you do use GeForce Experience, which I'm going to show how to set up OBS, OBS is way better than GeForce Experience. It uses way less resources and stuff. So I definitely recommend, but if you have to use GeForce Experience, just go to the website and download it again. Another thing with the setup is make sure you choose clean install. So it'll search for your GPU, and then it'll say, do you want to do custom install or express? You just want to choose custom, and then down at the bottom you're going to check the little box that says perform a clean install. That's just way so it installs it cleanly. So after you've done that, I want to set like your control panel settings, but just to make this a lot easier, I'm only going to go through like a couple of settings in here, but you can use my settings. So to do that, you're going to open up NVIDIA Profile Inspector. Let me drag it over. So you want to open this up, and in here, make sure under like the base profile, like don't go anywhere. You want to do import user defined, and then do import profiles right here, and just find the folder, the GPU folder. This is the 456 one, so use this nip, and you're just going to do open. And once you open that, click apply changes up here, and that should apply all these settings. So once you did that, you can come into the NVIDIA control panel. A couple things mentioned in here. Under like desktop up here, just enable developer settings. It just allows you to turn on or turn off one setting, I should say. And then add desktop contextual menu. That's up to you, but if you want to be able to right click and come into here like that, you need that on. Everything else, you can take it off of the tray if you don't want it down here, all that stuff. So like all these, you can set this. All these should already be set. I'll go through here like slowly just to make sure like everything's set. By the way, low latency mode off. It's pretty much the best, mainly because most like popular games now have the NVIDIA Reflex, which overrides this, so you might as well just turn it off. So yeah, just check all these settings. So yeah, down here, this setting will pop up once you turn on the developer. You want to click on this, allow access. This doesn't really do much, but it's kind of like the Spectre Meltdown thing from earlier. Resolution, just make sure on 1920. Don't use any of these. Just use the PC res 240 hertz. Down here, you can set your color settings. This one's personal preference. But yeah, digital vibrance, I really like this setting. I recommend like messing around with this because it makes your monitor's colors like really good, especially if you have a TN panel which don't have the greatest colors. We'll skip a few of these. Adjust desktop size and position. This one, couple things here. You can set this to display, uncheck this, but I don't know if I'll really go over display scaling just because it's so like it's so much different for everyone. Like I don't know how to say it really, but it's different for everyone to get display scaling to work on a lower res. So right now, I pretty much just play every game in 1080p 1920, so I don't have to worry about GPU scaling. If you don't know what display scaling is, I might go over it in this video, or I might make a separate video, but just set it to full screen display. So another thing regarding like the GPU settings is setting MSI mode. This is really good for like, this is just another really good tweak. So you want to find your GPU. So here, you want to check the MSI like box and set this to high, and you want to apply that. A couple other things in here. So the USB ones, you can set these in MSI mode as well. I definitely recommend like setting, if you know which USB it is, set these to MSI mode here. And then if you want to, you can also set like your high definition audio to MSI. You can set all these to MSI mode, honestly. I just don't have this set to MSI mode because really it doesn't do much. I'm not using the high definition audio. I'm using USB, but if you're using like headphone jack, you can check this to MSI mode, and you can actually set it to low, and it will cause a little bit less interrupts. Another thing is make sure you're like when you downloaded the Ethernet driver earlier, make sure this is set to MSI mode and set it to high. That'll help a little bit with like packet loss and stuff and ping. Okay, so now I'm gonna go over like some latency stuff that you can do for like mouse and everything. So open up the mouse folder, and before you do anything, run this, press enter, and run mouse fix. So those two, you shouldn't have to restart, but because we'll restart in a second. If you want to, you can. So let's set affinities first. So you're gonna need the affinity program here and device manager. Let's get this open. Right here, you just want to go to devices by connection, and first you need to find your GPU. It's pretty simple. I mean, unless you have two, but yeah, you want to find your GPU. You just want to go to properties. So you want to look here in the location. It's 4300. So just click on any. You can just click in this box. It doesn't matter which one, and you just want to press N on your keyboard, and it should go to this one. So 4300. So set the mask. For this, this will depend on what CPU you have. So depending on what CPU, so I have the 5800X, which is 8 cores, 16 threads. So that means I'm gonna select two of these. because I have hyperthreading on. But if yours says like 8 and 8 or 4 and 4 or I don't even know, like it's the same number, like the hyperthreading is not on, you're only going to choose one of these. And I'll show. So like let's say if you have hyperthreading on, I would choose CPU 4 and 5, assuming you have like 8 cores. If you only have like you just wanna choose one of these that's not CPU 0, because Windows puts everything on CPU 0. I'll show how that works in a second, but pretty much you don't want to choose CPU 0 or 1. These two, don't choose these. So what I do is I do 4 and 5 for the GPU, and then the USB ports I do 2 and 3. So yeah, so if you don't have hyperthreading, don't choose CPU 5, just do 4. If you do have hyperthreading, then do 4 and 5. And then you're just going to do OK, your screen will flicker, and yeah, it'll come back. It might say it's unable to restart, and when you restart your computer, it'll apply the settings. So next we're going to do the USB port. This is really important because you, just to make this easier, you really have to have your mouse and keyboard plugged into like the top two or USB 2.0. So under these PCI bridges, you just want to find like where they're plugged into. So I think this is the one. Yeah, this should be it. Yeah, okay, so it's this one here. So 200. So over here, you just want to click again, and then just press U on your keyboard until you find 200. So some of them will say, so this one isn't it. So here it is, 200. Set mask, and this one's on 2 and 3. If you don't have hyperthreading, just do 2. Just select one of them. Same thing. This might, this one, the USB usually says it can't apply the changes, so you just have to restart for the changes to apply. So that's all done. So after that, let's set up ISLC. So in here, I already have it running, so I'm just going to open this up. But you're just going to open up this XE right here. And here, if you haven't restarted from the BCD edit commands, so this one here, these might show different numbers, but regardless, I'll just stop it to show. So you want to enable custom timer resolution and type 0.500 or 0.50. And so like when you start it, these should be 0.5. If it's not, then restart, run BCD edit. Again, this can be kind of weird sometimes. Like the way you type it in will like, I don't know, you just have to type it in like different ways. Like you just got to try different things to try to get this to 0.5. That's what you want it at. For the standby clearing, this is really, really good. This will just clear standby memory in the background. So here, these two numbers, top one, 1024, that's what you leave it at. This bottom one, you multiply this number by like half of your RAM. So if you have 16 gigabytes, multiply 1024 by 8, or you know, you just half the number of like gigabytes of RAM. So yeah, that's what number you put here. Check start minimized. If you're on the stripped version, you don't have task scheduler, so don't worry about that. But if you're on like the regular Windows, you can launch with Task Scheduler. However, if you do one thing in the video I'm going to be showing, and like further on, Task Schedule will get disabled. So in these services, there won't be a Task Scheduler service running, and so you'll have to do what I'm about to show. So pretty much to get this to open on startup, like no matter what, you just want to do create shortcut, and it's going to create a little shortcut down here. You just want to come into run, type in shell :common and startup like this. You see I already have it in here. So this is just the shortcut to open this, and this will run, you know, every time you you're on startup. Okay, now for like one of the probably the best tweaks, in my opinion. This helps so much. It's going to be setting a power plan. So pretty much you want to come in here and open up part control, and just set this up. You can just uncheck this one and just launch part control because you're going to open this up. For this, you will set this up and you'll just uninstall it once you're done. So get in here and you'll have a bunch of power plans. I'm going to show how to remove them. So because Windows is a little bit glitchy and it doesn't like to set this as the power plan, even though you set it as like the power plan, you'll restart and it won't set it to it. So I'll show how to like make it so you only have this power plan, but regardless, choose bitsum, and then you just want to click here on apply, and then you want to click on make active. So apply and make active and do OK, and then it'll be down here. So don't uninstall it yet. Just run this. This is another thing to run. Disable hibernate. That's a good one. And so now that you have part control there, you want to do edit a power plan here. You can set these to never if you want. So you want to do change plan settings. You just want to come here, have that open, and then open up Power Settings Explorer here. This program only allows you. This doesn't actually like change any settings. It just allows you to be able to change them. So what you want to come in here and do is find USB 3 link power management. Make sure that's unchecked. If they're unchecked, that means you can change them. There's a few. It'll be kind of hard for me to find them because there's so many. Allow wake timers. Make sure that's unchecked. Another one. Oh yeah. So allow throttle states. Uncheck that. That should be like checked by default. Uncheck that one. And then also link state power management. Uncheck this one if it's not already unchecked. So then you're going to find these two, they kind of go hand in hand. Processor idle demote threshold, uncheck this one, and then you're going to find processor idle promote threshold right here. Uncheck that one as well. That will help with the Windows kernel latency, which is like getting very technical, but that'll help a little bit with that latency. Then you just want to come down here. A lot of these, like, they don't really do much. So another thing, just NVIDIA power saving. You can uncheck this or check it. It really doesn't matter, because in the GPU section you've already set like the power stuff to be off. So yeah, once you've unchecked those, you can close out of that. Come in here, change advanced power settings. Yours should look exactly like mine. So all these never disable, all these you want off or disabled. This is like the best power plan you can find. So all these just leave how they've been set from Bitsum, except for allow throttle states. Make sure that's off, and then these two should be on 100%, and then display, these should be off as well. Never, that's kind of personal preference, but you might as well just set them to never. It won't hurt anything. So now you have like this set in. You want to delete all your other power plans so that it doesn't mess with it. So you just want to come into CMD and you want to type in power CFG and then like the /L like this. You'll have like 4 or 5 here. You might have like AMD balanced, Windows, power saver, all this stuff. Pretty much you want to delete everything, like even high performance. That's a shitty power plan, I'm not gonna lie. And you just want to like delete all of them except for Bitsum. So here, to delete the ones that you don't want, you just copy this. So I'm not gonna delete it, but you just copy this like hex code here, or hash, I'm not sure what it is. And then to delete it, you're gonna do power CFG dash delete like this, and then you another space and you paste it, and then you enter, and keep doing that for all of them until you only have Bitsum, and yeah, so that's how you delete them. Okay, now I want to talk about locking your voltage with MSI Afterburner. And even if you want to, you can even overclock with MSI Afterburner. So to download this, just search on Google. It's not too hard. So you want to open up this, and yours won't look like this. You just want to go into the settings and come over here into user interface, and you want to choose skin. It makes it easier to see the voltage and stuff. So when you're on here, you just want to do Control F, and it'll bring up this curve. And I've actually already locked it and overclocked using the curve. So if you do overclock, you want to use the curve. I could make a separate video on this. It's a bit complicated, but yeah. So locking the voltage, this is going to depend on what card you have. So if you have the 2000, any of the 2000 series, you're good to lock it at 0.093, like what I have it here. So you just find the one. You just click on here until you find the one that's 1093, and you press L on your keyboard to lock it there, and so that will lock the voltage of the graphics card there, and it just keeps it from dropping when it is under load. This will help with driver latency and just GPU latency. If you have a 10,000 series or under, you can look it up on Google. If you can't find the max voltage, then I'd recommend having this open and running a stress test. So I recommend superposition. That's probably the best one, and you just set it to like 1080p extreme or something like that, and just run it and see what your max voltage is. Okay, so I think this this other skin here was not showing like the highest voltage, so just choose, you can choose this one that I chose. This actually shows the voltage here, so on this like dial here, so 1093 megavolts, so it's here. So pretty much just have this open, run a stress test, see what the highest it goes to, but probably your best bet is just look it up on Google, see what the max voltage is for whatever card you have. Okay, so some other stuff that I want to show in MSI Afterburner. It's a really useful program. Under power limit, you can just max this out. It's just so it has as much power as possible. It's not like using this much power. It's just you're making the limit so as high as possible. The rest of this is overclock stuff. You could even do like, this will probably be grayed out, so don't worry about this. I'll just show that in like if I make an overclocking video. But fan speed, this is really important because keeping your GPU like cool is extremely important because GPUs downclock like at the slightest bit of heat. So you don't want to use auto fan speed um, just because it doesn't increase the fan quick enough. So I recommend just setting it at like a single value. So you just want to play around. You want something that's, you know, not too loud. You can tolerate it, but you want it to be as high as possible. So with your headphones on, just see if it's too loud and, you know, dial it down. But just keep in mind you want to keep it as cool as possible. So the higher you can tolerate the fan speed, the better, because keeping it cool is really important. So yeah, once you get your settings in, you can lock it here, or what you can do, apply overclocking at system startup, and you can lock it here. And there's also an apply button. So if you're on stripped, and I haven't shown how to disable services, but if you do disable the services, this will not come up on startup. And so I'll show how to get that running up on startup. So you just want to go into C, and I believe it's x86 program files and MSI Afterburner, and you want to open up the CFG. You're going to look for, oh, okay, so right here is startup via task scheduler. You want to set this to, it should be on 1. You want to set this to 0. It'll use like, to start up, instead of task scheduler, it'll use like the startup folder to start up if you use this. So because on the stripped, you don't have task scheduler, I'm pretty sure. And if you disable services, either one that you're on, you will not have task scheduler. So you need to set this to 0 or it won't come up on startup. So yeah. Now I'm gonna go over like disabling services and a few extra stuff that you really don't need. So just to come in here and like preface this, so if you're on the stripped, you have like I'm trying to remember, it's like maybe 60 services running. If you're on the non-stripped, it's gonna be like 90 to 100 services. So you can get this down to 28. They kind of fluctuate. It's like 28 to 30. Sometimes there's a few Windows services that are turned on and off. So to do this, there's going to be a few like things. If you're on the stripped, you might as well just do this anyway, because if you're on the stripped, you're not going to be using Wi-Fi, printing, Bluetooth, any of that anyway. So you might as well just get the services down nice and low. This helps a lot with like latency and all that. If you're on the non-stripped, you cannot be using Wi-Fi, you cannot be printing, you cannot be using Bluetooth. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, that should be it. So yeah, this is really getting Windows like nice and bare. So yeah, let's get into it. So these scripts are from Freely. It's pretty much where I got all this stuff from. It's where I learned everything pretty much. So in this WinRAR, there's a lot of other stuff, but I just use the script. Just makes things easier. So you want to drag. Oh, it just glitched out. You want to drag the power on services disable and normal. So you're gonna have a script to disable them and turn them back on. So like let's say you find one day that like something isn't working and you need to turn the services back on to like, let's say, print or something. You can turn them back on, print, do whatever you need to do, and then you can disable them again to so you can, you know, go back to gaming and whatnot. So you want to drag these into the Windows folder. So I'll show here. So on your C drive, just the Windows folder, you just want to drag them in here. I'll show you. So services disable and normal they're both here, and also power run is in here. So yeah, you want to drag all those in there, and then you want to go back and so if you want to disable them, you run this CMD script, and it'll disable the services that you don't need. You'll have to restart for it to apply, and like a few things, if you're not on a local account, you have to get on a local account to do this. So get on a local account. If you skipped that one part earlier in the video, you have to get on a local account. Number two is you have to make sure you've ran this registry tweaks here, because this disables UAC. Somewhere in here, one of these, it disables UAC. If you run this and you don't have UAC disabled, you'll try to open things and you'll get an error. But if you're on a local account, you've disabled UAC with that registry tweak file, then you're good to go. You can disable these services. And also make sure you have OpenShell, because you won't have a start menu anymore. You need to have OpenShell. So yeah, once you've restarted and you come back, you've disabled your services. And here, Windows processes should show like 29, 30, 28, somewhere around there. So now you can do extras disabled. This just disables some more things that run in the background from Windows. I think a lot of these are already disabled on the script, but I mean, you might as well just run it anyway. So same thing, you can send all these to the Windows folder. So same thing, you just want to have those in the same Windows folder that you just did. And then if you open up the C drive folder, disable the script. And there's also an enable if you find something that's not working. So that's like disabling things you don't need. So I kind of forgot to go over like internet stuff. This is really like a lot of people think that you can lower ping and all this stuff. You really can't. You can make it a little bit better. You can make it more stable. You can get your packet loss down, but you really can't lower ping. Unfortunately, that's just to do with your where you are from the server and the game server itself. But a couple things you can do is, one, make sure you're on like the newest driver, and also you've set MSI mode for the Ethernet. Usually the newest ones already set it to. I've already gone over that stuff. So the other thing you can do is you can just come in here to Network and Sharing Center. I'll drag it over, and you can do change adapter settings. And in here, you just want to come into Properties, uncheck all these except for IPv4, and then you can configure IPv4 from here. Power management, you want to uncheck all of these. This last one, it'll just check itself. It's kind of glitched out, but so yeah, all you want to do here, most of these either make things worse or they just don't do anything at all. So all you need to do is just turn off any power saving features. So energy efficient Ethernet, green Ethernet, power saving mode, all these wake on magic packet stuff, any of the power saving stuff might help you out. If you're on Intel, the driver looks a little bit different than Realtek. There's a few more tabs. Just go through, check, look at all of them, and just look for any power saving things. But everything else, just leave it on default. They're set how they should be. Another thing I've made, it doesn't really do anything, but it has helped me sometimes. So in this network folder, this networkfix.bat, I've just put like pretty much every like command that would clear things up and stuff. Really, most of these don't do anything. The only ones that you want are right here. So this this just clears things out, resets. So if you're having like some issues, obviously unplug the router. That's always a good way to fix things. but on your computer, if you just want to clear things out, these are some good commands to have. So I'll put like a bat with just these. The rest of these is just kind of useless. I don't really use any of these. I just have them in here. They just change like TCP settings, and games don't use TCP anymore. So all those tutorials you see online where they get TCP optimizer, you're just wasting time. Those don't do anything. Yeah, so the other thing is adware cleaner. Just make sure you don't have any PUPs. Those hog bandwidth. You really don't want that. The other thing is to check your internet, just whether it's being slow or whatnot, you're lagging. DSL reports is the best way to check it. And you just want to come in a speed test, gigabit/fiber. I'll run one right now, just so I can explain what they mean. All those other like speedtest.net, all those stuff, that's only showing your speed, and sometimes those depend on whether the server is like there's a lot of traffic in the server, so it's not a very accurate test. But DSL reports, you'll see that you'll get the same numbers over and over and over. So buffer bloat, this is really what you want to look at, and also you really only want to look at the upload phase if you're worried about gaming. Download is useless. So upload phase, I would say you really don't need anything crazy for upload. It doesn't matter how how many megabits you have. Like if you have 100, that's great. You want your latency down if you want like the best internet connection to servers. So you want your buffer bloat. If this isn't all A's, then there's something wrong. Either with your router, your wiring, something is wrong, and something is interrupting. But if you're getting like all A's or A on the buffer bloat, your ping is more than likely pretty good. So yeah, this is what a good test should look like. And a lot of cases, if you're not on fiber, the lower your speed is, the better your latency is going to be. So if you have like a 100 plan on like a copper wire, your latency is going to be like kind of up there. So just keep that in mind if you are thinking about changing your speeds. Okay, so you're getting towards the end of the video. Hopefully you haven't had any issues. If you do, I'll have like the Discord, my Discord information, so I can help you out. But I'm just gonna go over like application stuff and like launchers and stuff like that. So we'll do applications first. So for Google, you just want to make sure that you don't have hardware acceleration. So just come in here and disable hardware acceleration. Also disable this one. You don't need them to continue running. For Spotify, it's also in the settings. So yeah, I'm not gonna drag it over. Like you can find where it is, but disable hardware acceleration in Spotify and Discord. Discord also has it. It's under appearance, I think. So yeah, make sure you have hardware acceleration disabled on everything. I will mention for Google, if you disable it and then you like play a browser game, it's going to be in like 10 FPS. So just turn it back on for the browser game. So for launchers, you want to have like auto updates and everything like that. So I'll just kind of like go over like the general like stuff that you would want. For some reason this isn't signing in, but Epic Games is kind of boring. It doesn't have very many settings. I'll show Steam, kind of what you want for Steam, because Steam it's got like more stuff running. I'll also show like kind of a cool way to have Steam open while you're gaming. So come up here to settings. You can just like copy my stuff. You don't want any overlays. Overlays on games are really bad. You don't want to have like any FPS counter from Steam or anything like that. Same thing with Discord overlay. You don't want Discord overlay. So here's my settings, all this download stuff. You can copy all this stuff. I'm not going to go over this. The other thing I want to show Steam is if you come in here in the task manager, and Steam has a lot of web helpers, and you don't need all these web helpers when you're gaming. So if you notice, I have two Steam icons down here. This Steam icon is like if I need Steam for something, but this one over here, I'll show you what happens when I open it. This is the -no browser version, so I don't have like all this stuff. Same thing in Task Manager. If you look at it, let's open. So it's just Steam open. There's no web helpers. So to open your games in here, you just right click on it, and here's your games. There is like one or two. Some of your games won't show up, and you'll have to use like the regular version. But you'll just figure that out. So to do that, you just want to find like your Steam like shortcut. So yeah, once you find your Steam shortcut, here's my path. This Steam exe, you just want to like make a shortcut for this. So create shortcut, and so I'll just drag this onto the desktop to make it easier. On this, you want to do properties, and up here, you just want to do space and then dash no, and then another dash browser like this, and apply. Okay. So when you open this, you should not have all those web helpers. So you see this doesn't have those web helpers. So make sure you have two Steam shortcuts, just because like you know you don't want to always have to be like changing this shortcut. Okay, so real fast, just some game stuff. All your games that are in DirectX 11. So if you're using Fortnite in DirectX 11, which you really got to test for yourself, but DirectX 11 is just better in my opinion in every situation. But you could be getting more for with DX12. You just have to test it yourself. Preferably something like Cap FrameX. You can look up what that is. But under the compatibility tab, you really want to check these three for any game that you're playing, especially disable full screen optimizations. So I'll explain what that is real fast. When you're on DX11 and you have this disabled and you're running full screen in the game, you are in something called exclusive full screen, and that puts the game on top of the layer of DWM, which is desktop composing, that Windows has right here, DWM. It's kind of like a layer of VSync. It just makes Windows feel smoother, but you don't want that on your game the same way you turn off VSync. So yeah, you don't want that on your game. So if you're using DX11, make sure you disable full screen optimizations. So that way you go exclusive full screen. These other ones just runs as an administrator. Yeah, if you have UAC disabled, everything runs as administrator, but these are other just placebo. They don't really do much, but yeah, make sure you have this disabled if you're using DX11. If you're on DX12, so for Modern Warfare, it's DX12. You can't run DX11. There's no point in checking that. It doesn't do anything. You can if you want, but it doesn't do anything. Another thing that helps a ton with latency and also FPS is getting your BIOS settings right. Now, every BIOS is going to be different, especially like depending on whether you have Intel or AMD. But all these settings, unless you're on like an HP pre-built, which you might as well just not even bother going in there. HP pre-built locks you out of everything. Is disabling C states. That's one of the biggest ones. So this is a picture of my old BIOS. I have a new motherboard and stuff now, but I'll just still use these pictures because it's all the same thing. So global C state control, it's always going to be under CPU features. If you have like a new B550. It's under AMD CBS now, so you just have to find that. Just go around in your BIOS. If you don't know how to get into BIOS, Google exists. But global C-state control, you want to disable that. It's really, really bad. You'll get a lot of latency with it on, and not the greatest frame times. Spread spectrum, that's another one to disable. Pretty much, if you are lucky and you have this exact same, you can just copy what I have. Some of these, they don't really do anything, but they're just, you can pretty much just disable them. Other thing is having XMP on. Now, most people know this. It's pretty common knowledge, but having XMP on just sets your RAM to the advertised speeds. So you can see here, it's actually disabled because I did all the timings and stuff myself with a calculator. But I don't, on my new motherboard, I just have on XMP just because the results aren't, I didn't get really any boost from doing this, so just having XMP on is better. So you'll see here that profile 1 is actually a little bit slower than profile 2, so you'll just have to go into the overclocking tab and take a look at it. Make sure you set it to expert because some things won't show up. So yeah, you want your speeds at the advertised, so whatever you bought it at. The other thing is it's not always called XMP. It's sometimes, AXMP or DOCP is another one. Just depends on what brand motherboard you have and what platform you're on. So, just you want to get your RAM setting right. This is like a good 50 FPS boost if you don't already have this on, because by default it's either 2666 or 2133. And that's really slow for RAM. The last thing is turning on, disabling handoff on the USB configuration. There's really no like test saying this, helps or not, but I think it feels a little bit better. It makes everything just feel more snappy. So I always say to disable this, just because I think it feels better. So this could be something that if you want to, you can test it out. Another thing is I didn't have it on this motherboard. I don't think I have it on my new motherboard either, but if under the boot tab, if you see something called fast boot, make sure you turn off fast boot. It's not what it sounds like. It causes more issues than it helps. So yeah, make sure you don't have fast boot on. That's pretty much it for BIOS. It's pretty quick and easy. So one thing to like test once you've done all these tweaks is your overall system latency and like the interrupts. This is so once you've done all the tweaks, you can figure out what you still need to work on and figure out, see if you can get something lower. So this program is called Latency Monitor. So you'll just download it, and it goes to a weird spot. I'll show. So it's under the C drive and program files, not the x86 one, and latency mod. And here's the exe. So to run this, just have like the least amount of stuff open. So like when I ran this test, I had Discord open and just everything else you see down here open. I didn't have OBS open. Yeah, but you want to have like the least amount of things open so you get an accurate result. Especially Google Chrome tends to have a lot of hard page faults. So here's one hard page fault from this Windows like service. But anyways, so I'm on AMD, and if you did everything correctly, and you're on the stripped, yours should be around this. This is a pretty good test. And this was like, it was only like a minute 13 seconds, but this is pretty good scores. This is about the lowest I'm gonna get it. Until you can get like 0.7 and like point, like 0 like 4, maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a little stretched. But yeah, Intel's going to be a bit lower than this. This is pretty good for AMD. Um, so when you run it, you just start monitor. Um, it'll look like this. Just like let it run for like 1 to 2 minutes. A few things to look for is you pretty much want yours looking like mine, or at least like close to it. So like for those, that's about, you don't want these spiking. These aren't too important because these are the highest. Um, but you really want to look at averages, but you don't want these spiking to like 100. These are really good. This is like really solid because these aren't spiking at all. Processes, not a whole lot in here. Just make sure you don't have like something having a ton of hard page faults, like NVIDIA container. If it has like a bunch of hard page faults, you might want to like reinstall the driver. So under here, I'll go over a few of these. So you want to look at this column here. If these aren't like about what yours is at, then there's probably an issue. These are really good numbers though. So other thing is like, so a lot of people will have WDF will be like way up here at the top, and the highest execution will be really high. And there'll be lots of ISR counts. That's probably like if I ran this and I start moving my mouse, the WDF will go up a little bit. See how the ISR is going up? That's just because my mouse is sending information. But if you're not moving your mouse and you're getting a bunch of ISRs, so that means you probably have something plugged in that's like actively sending messages to the CPU. So like maybe a Wi-Fi extender or like a wireless adapter for Wi-Fi. You really don't want to have those plugged in. So like when I'm playing games, I have like a shitty speaker that I use every once in a while, but I don't leave it plugged in, just because it causes a lot of like interrupts. And so all I have plugged in is like what I need, and um, if I need to plug something in, I can just plug it in. So try to have like the least amount of stuff plugged in. Um, so yeah, for WDF is typically a common one. Also, the DX kernel and like the NVIDIA driver, these are always going to be at the top. It's just how it always is. Um, but yeah, another thing that I found with the USB kernel is my headphones were plugged into USB 2.0, and it was like interfering with my mouse and keyboard a little bit. Like obviously I can't tell, but you want to get these numbers down nice and low, even though you probably won't feel a difference. Um, so I plugged my headphones in USB 3.0. That way they're separate. Because we set affinities for the USB 2.0, assuming you plugged your mouse and keyboard into the 2.0 ports at the top of your motherboard. So that's something that helped my latency a little bit. Under CPUs, this is just a check. So we set affinities for the USB ports to 2 and 3. So you can see here, there's the USB ports on CPU 2 and 3. 4 and 5, we have the graphics drivers. So that's what you want. The reason we did that is because Windows puts everything on CPU 0. So you'd have like all these things on CPU 0, and none of these other cores are really doing anything. So that's just spreading it out. But yeah, um, you might have like a network driver spiking. I've had that in the past. That's just, update your driver, turn off the power saving features. Um, that should help with that. And pretty much everything else in here, like, you really just have to play with it. If you don't know what, like, one of these, like, store ports, like your SSDs stuff, if you don't know what one of these is and it's spiking, then you can always just look it up. Um, this isn't like some code name, it's, on Google. So, yeah, just try to get yours looking around like where mine is, and you should be good. Okay, so we're pretty much done. Um, just now I'm just gonna show like cleanup stuff and like maintenance to do. So first, Epic Disk Cleanup. I have the shortcut here. Uh, it's in the description as well. This cleans all your drives, so instead of going in here manually and like right-clicking properties, disk cleanup on all yours, um, this does all of them. So if you run it here, it's cleaning up C, and move your mouse over it like I'm doing here because it'll get stuck. Um, I'll show, let me see if it'll do it. So yeah, it looks like it's stuck, but if I run my mouse over it, it's actually done. And then what I do is I also just check it. So I just go into the two temp folders. So like there was one left that was probably just made. Um, temp percent. There's the other one. Here's some more that weren't deleted. So yeah, and then just empty recycle bin here. So there's that. The other thing is looking at auto runs. Preferably do this after you've downloaded all your programs and stuff that you need. And in here, be careful. You don't want to like turn off anything that you do need. But I'll go over like stuff that universally, like current version run Steam. You don't need this. That's just on startup. Anything right here, a current version run is startup. So you want to have like pretty much nothing on startup. If you need it, you can open it yourself. Same thing with this current version run up here. There's a few of these because these are just different ways that these start up. So OpenShell, obviously you want that on startup. Same thing with like if you have like a keyboard and mouse, like so like here's like a startup folder here, my SteelSeries and ISLC. So installed components, Google Chrome, pretty much everything in here that has to do with Google Chrome, you can uncheck it. All these are like WinRAR, and like a lot of these red ones aren't even installed, so you don't have to worry about that. Under here for services, these three Google ones, you can uncheck. You don't need these. Don't uncheck any anti-cheats because then it'll think you're cheating. If you have Origin, you can disable like the web helper, but then I think you can't like buy stuff, or so you might have to turn these back on. Steam client service, I have this disabled, haven't had any issues, so you can disable that one. Any update service, so Logitech has a bunch of update services. Any update stuff in here, you can uncheck. If you want to update it, you can do that yourself. The other thing is, let's say you have SteelSeries like me, and you want to update it. It'll get like stuck updating. Just come in here and turn it on, and then try to update it again. If you have TeamViewer, you can uncheck it here. It doesn't do anything. And here, I don't even have Logitech anymore. It used to be for my mouse, but I uninstalled it. But it left these behind, so like anything in here that you know that you don't need running. Like there's probably some other things that I can do, but this is just small little things. Yeah, be careful and like this services here. Like if you want to go tab by tab, the driver service, be really careful. If you like don't know for sure what it is, don't uncheck it. I just go under this everything. Everything else in here is just Windows. You don't need to worry about. But yeah, this program is really good for like getting rid of Riot Vanguard. Like if you uninstall Riot Vanguard, but leaves like some of these behind, there'll be like one under here, the services, and there'll be another one under here. It's like you can get rid of those. But obviously you need that on if you are playing Valorant. Yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. Once again, I'll have the Discord if you have any problems. Hopefully you don't have any problems, but yeah, if you made it this far, your PC is pretty much optimized by now. I might make some like more videos covering like other things, but really I basically covered everything in this video. So yeah.